A two and one. Boom. Hey. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Civitai Friday guest creator stream. I am Tyler. Today, I am joined by someone that I've been watching this guy's work for well over a year since I first started. I'm really happy that all of you guys joined us. Today's going to be a little bit more chill. We're just going to talk about the state of AI in general, where it's been, where we're at, where it's going, and get some more insight into the type of processes that this man takes. So, with that being said, today's guest is Noah Miller, and Noah is a highly talented filmmaker. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself first. But Noah, first things first, can you give me a little test just so I can make sure the people on Twitch can hear you good?
Yeah, test. Everybody hear everything fine there?
Twitch, how did that sound? Can you guys hear Noah good?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. So, yeah, Noah, first off, thank you so much for joining us. And why don't you go ahead and just like give your background to the people that tuned in to hear us meander today.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you the short story I give for like when I'm doing pitches. I came to be a screenwriter. So I came out of college and got my master's degree in screenwriting, and then I write too weird of stuff, and nobody wants to make it. So I spent like 5 years going through the normal like LA process of pitches and managers and 100 different offices every other day, trying to get stuff across and get made, and none of it'd all get close, but none of it would get made. So then I started directing, because if no one's going to make it, I'm going to make it myself. So I went into directing, and then in the middle of doing a bunch of directing stuff, we did this thing for Fox, short film for Alien, where I realized VFX is really expensive. So I'm going to learn VFX and do all my VFX stuff, which it ended me up in kind of I do a little bit of everything kind of okay. And VFX got me into 3D, and then 3D got me into AI stuff. The whole point is just to figure out how to tell the stories I want us to tell that are too weird and too hard to get made through a traditional process cheaply and easily. Whatever's the fastest way to do that, that's still a quality that people would want to watch. And for a long time, that was indie cheap film. Then it became 3D animation, which is still expensive and time consuming, and then now is touching into the AI stuff, which I think is going to be quite a bit faster all the way together.
Oh man, so I'm really excited as someone I don't have a film school background, but I worked as a freelancer with my camera for a number of years before like finding AI and that kind of like cracking everything open for me. I can only imagine what this stuff can really start to do for someone with that, like just the massive skill sets that you've gathered over the years. But let's like rewind all the way back. What was your very first touch with AI? Like what did you see that made you even want to dabble, and what was the first like thing you remember using?
Yeah, so the very first thing that I know is sort of AI I was really heavily trying to use, which is very similar to what's being done now, is, oh my god, my name is gonna the name's EB Synth. So I wanted to be able to take cheaply done like shots, paint over the top of them in Photoshop, and then just run it. I could never get a good like system down with EB Synth to make it work every time, and their interface was a little eh. I kept hoping somebody who's smarter than me would figure out a way to make it cleaner and easier to use, where I just drop a shot and say make that shot work, and you do it. But that never really happened. That was my first like real introduction to style transfer, I guess, is prior to just being straight AI.
Dude, EB Synth was one of the things for me too, where like I tried to use it, and for some reason, whatever that workflow was with it, my brain just couldn't fully wrap around it in a way where I felt like, oh, this is practical for me to use on a regular basis.
Yeah, one shot I could do really well. 10 or 11 shots, it starts to become cumbersome. An entire film where I'm trying to tell a story, it falls apart.
So as far as the more kind of like Stable Diffusion-esque AI tools, is Stable Diffusion the first thing you use, or did you go all the way back to messing with like Disco Diffusion?
Oh no, there was something else prior to. God, I wish I could remember the name of it. Um, anybody? Do you know Flommer Boy? He's like a developer that does. Right now, he's working on like a camera to poetry thing, where you take a picture and a large language model spits out a poem. He
Oh
was
my
working
god.
on. It's really cool. It's like a full thing you can walk around with and take pictures of people, and then they spit out a poem about what it sees. Really cool idea. The guy makes kind of strange stuff, but he had just about the time, even it was just about the time Midjourney was just starting to come up. He had his own early AI image generation thing, and I've got a bunch of those somewhere stored. I think they're on my Instagram of stuff that I built from there. But that was the first one that I touched, and that was maybe like 30 of us in something similar to a Discord server, but it was like their own proprietary thing, just generating images constantly that were mush. They were like nothing. You could barely tell what they were, but you could still make interesting things with them. But that was my first spread to it.
For the people on Twitch, and anyone that wants to look him up, what was that gentleman's name again?
Okay, I think it's Flommer Boy. Let me make sure I can get it in a couple seconds here.
Because that actually sounds like a really dope thing to like a camera that runs the picture through a large language model and then generates a poem based on the photo. That sounds so cool.
It is cool. So his name is Ryan Mather. Flomerboy is his Instagram. Flommer Boy, which I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, he's somebody who I've just like watched from a distance and then like just do whatever you're gonna do and I'll pay attention.
Spell that out for me one more time so I can type it in the chat for them.
Yeah, it's Flomerboy. So just grab it and post it here. There's his IG in the chat. I think that's the chat. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Cool. Let me paste
so
this.
he had a they do a like early language model help you with your writing and figure out how to plot stories and stuff. But then they opened up an image generation thing, which is just awesome.
So where did you start to see okay, I can start to integrate the stuff into what I'm already doing? Like, where did that kind of click for you?
That was Warp. Once I saw that something like Warp could actually create moving images that were coherent, and that with a little bit of post work wouldn't be just flickery nonsense. That was the first one. I was like, okay, this might be viable for this. And then I just kind of went all in on that for quite a while. It was like 2 years of just Warp 3 times a day, every day.
Dude, I can't even. So you were already in Warp for a full year prior to me getting into it, which to me sounds crazy.
Yeah, I was in it when there was like 2 cells, and that was about it. Like it was
oh my goodness,
very early.
So okay, so the whole thing with Warp, I was always like when I would see your stuff pop up on Instagram, I was always very captivated by it because you always seem to have these like really well fleshed out characters compared to literally everything else I was seeing. I feel like you were really one of the first people that were able to pull like a super consistent or coherent image out of something that was so like raw. I'm going to do what I want.
I mean, sorry, what?
Oh no, so was a lot of that though, do you think attributed to like you training your own models and like learning how to train your own LoRa's and kind of cobbling together something for yourself?
It's a mixture of that. So like the training stuff really helped. Especially when you get to do LoRa's, and then I train in whoever I'm making a video of. I would train them in as a LoRa even early on, so that the model would recognize the shape of the person. The other thing is I would mask everybody out, not just like mask them out, like put a mask in the run. I would cut them out completely in the video so that you'd have a white background or a black background or something that would make sure that the model is only looking at what I want it to look at. That was sort of the big things. The other thing was to get rid of details. Everyone's always trying to make things way more detailed, and that just causes more lines on the screen and more things to flicker and flash about. So I go less details.
So when you say get rid of details, give me an example of like some stuff that you would try to like get out of the image before running it through.
Oh no, I would actually I would do it afterwards. So like in the run,
Mm.
everyone takes like not everyone, but a lot of people take like an add detail Laura and like jam it up as high as they can. I go the opposite way. I do like a -2, a -3. I don't want a lot of stuff coming out the other side. I want it to be clean and simple. It's sort of that like there's that animation philosophy where you should be able to understand what a character looks like just by their outline. That's what I want, because I want you to be able to tell who it is more than anything else.
That's super cool. Yeah, man. I've actually been on a little bit more of that for me it feels like a minimalism thing, because with AI, especially in the animation realm, it's so easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff in such a short period of time that gets put on the frame, that I've actually started trying to just do subjects on black backgrounds and just focus on like making the subject as absolutely interesting as possible.
Yeah, that's always kind of the goal. That's like an old filmmaking, I guess not old, but just a filmmaking thing where you're doing everything you can to focus the viewer's attention where you want it, which is usually faces and eyes. Like that's the thing that we look at naturally. And so you're creating vignettes, or you're creating shadows, and you're doing all this stuff to push people's vision to right where you want it, which is the face and the emotion. And
So
it's just worth keeping in mind.
I did notice that over the last year, and even before that, I'm sure you had kind of like a consistent relationship with this music artist, Witches. And you all like the videos you did for him, for me, were like probably some of the pinnacle of Warp Fusion, period. How, can you talk a little bit about how like that relationship came to be, and how you kind of like, because it seemed like he used you for a lot of his stuff, and you really built a cool like aesthetic for him.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the guy. He just hit me up and said like, I want something, and can you do it? No rush. And I was like, that's great, because I got 10,000 other messages in those early days of just people like berating you and asking you to do things, and it was like this one person was just being chill, and I prefer working with people who are chill. So that was kind of how our thing came together. It's like, you send me something, I'll make something, and that's it. Um, yeah.
Awesome.
And his character is really easy to work with because it's just black. He's literally just what I was talking about. He's that outline as he is. You recognize him as he is. And so it was kind of like a blank canvas to sort of push things on top of. And his movements are amazing. And his wife does all this camera work with it that is pretty killer for just people's TikTok videos. So yeah, let me
Awesome.
experiment and do a lot of weird stuff.
So, okay, so in the realm of like Warp, and now like kind of moving into the AnimeDiff era, I know a lot of people have kind of chosen to stick with the 1.5 route of things, rather than like trying to wrestle with the beast of what SDXL kind of turned into. I know SDXL, when like it first got announced and it first got released for Warp, I had really high hopes. I thought it was going to like change everything, and I was maybe a little let down with like the control net and just like the overall coherency we were able to pull out of it with the same type of effort we would put into 1.5. Disappointed me a little, but I saw something there. What has the experience of kind of like wrestling with SDXL in the animations been like for you? Because I know you try to lean into it really hard.
Yeah, I actually I love XL. I think it's a better model, mostly because it produces more coherent images in video. It just does, and it's great that it does, especially when you're getting like when you're looking for more hand drawn looking stuff. It does a great job. Like I have a lot of models and Laura's based around like turn of the century and up to like the 50s, like political illustrations and newspaper art and that sort of stuff that I love. And it's all an Excel thing. It doesn't work in the same data doesn't work in a 1.5 Laura for some reason. But it works great in the Excel one. But it works extremely well in Warp. I don't know what the setup is in Warp that lets it work really well there, but in AnimeDiff, I just have not been able to get a consistent, setup for it that I can rely on, at least for where I'm heading with stuff. So I've had to go back to 1.5, which I'm not as happy about. 1.5 looks I don't know. It's just got this like sort of plasticky look to it. Even the nicest generations out of it have this weird. It's kind of where it decides to place highlights or something. Not sure what it is, but yeah, I would do XL if I could. I think it's the better model, but it's the support's just not there right now.
So for your current AI work, are you like, what would you say the implementation still is of Warp versus AnimeDiff? Like, what would you say the percentage usage of those are at the
The project that I'm going into, the zero thing, is gonna just be AnimeDiff. It's just gonna have to be. There might be some warp in there just because there's some trippy moments in it, but consistency and the type of thing I'm going for is definitely gonna end up being just AnimeDiff. I've stopped doing like daily videos. I just kind of ran out of steam on it finally after doing like
moment?
2 or 3 years of a video every day. So I don't use that's I used Warp mostly for that, and I probably still would. I think it produces more eye-catching video, just because it does some interesting things that move with human motion that are more consistent than you get with anime diffs. Like every 24 frames, you're gonna get a shift. There's some stuff you can do to smooth that out, but I just don't, or quick stuff. I don't prefer it.
Do you have a favorite Warp version? I know we all
I,
have
I
a Warp notebook that we were like, this is the one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would get stuck on one for a while, but I would always come up to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Nothing's ever come out of Warp. That's everything's just always held on top. It's always just gotten more stuff, never lost things, at least as far as I can tell.
Gotcha. Did you ever get big into Deforum, or did you like touch Deforum for a little while and then just kind of move past it? Because that was
Yeah,
kind of my case. I never really like dive super deep into like Parsec and all those things.
yeah. I was in Deforum for like 3 videos. I made 3 videos with it. It's the same thing you do every time. At the time, it didn't have. This was before, like you said, how early I was in Warp. Just before that, probably was Deforum or right next to it, and it was like I can do some really interesting stuff, but it's I can't tell a story with it, at least at the time.
Gotcha. I totally agree with that. Um, since you are so kind of ingrained, because your main bread and butter still is filmmaking, right? Like you do commercial work, you do like you are a full-time filmmaker.
Yeah, and I teach a couple different film courses, so that's kind of where I live.
Do you ever deal with any contention from your peers with the AI stuff, or is that mostly from strangers on the internet?
From my like direct peers, no. I think in general you get either am scared about what it's going to become, which sure I am too, um, or I don't like it. I'm not going to deal with it, or I'm just doing my daily work and I'm happy here. There's not a people that I know personally aren't particularly delving into this as a thing. If it becomes a useful tool for what they do, absolutely. But there's very few like the actual use cases for AI in filmmaking for the average indie guy is still not there yet. There's some stuff that's kind of coming out. There's the thing Adobe just announced that sure, um, but yeah, it's just not. It's not really in. One of the reasons I'm doing this particular project is there just isn't a production workflow for this stuff yet. But there is for like individual little shots, and like a VFX person or an editor might know it. But as far as like full on implementation, even in the stuff that I know from like studio spaces, they're like it's there, but it's not really. I don't know.
Gotcha. So wait, let's rewind to the Adobe thing real quick since that just happened. How do you feel about having from what they showed saying that they're going to have Pika, Runway, and some version of Sora. And keep in mind, the versions of these models that will live in the application will probably be like a taken down a couple notches thing compared to if you went into like onto Runway ML or onto Pika or into wherever OpenAI is going to funnel us to use Sora.
Mhm.
How do you? First of all, are you a Premiere Pro guy or are you a DaVinci Resolve guy?
I'm a Resolve guy.
You-
That's where I live. I mean, I teach
You're
Pro and I teach Avid as well, but all my daily stuff is all Resolve.
damn. See, when someone says they use Avid, that's when you know they're serious about like filmmaking and editing because Avid is like that. Yeah, I'm not. I haven't even. even attempted to ever open that up because I know that's kind of out of my league.
It's actually it's simpler than other stuff. It's pretty much just like a 30-year-old program that's made a few changes over the years. It's not super crazy. It just feels like it is. Stupid trick that I use for students on that. If you change the color scheme of Avid to Premiere Pro, your brain accepts it. It's really stupid. Just do that.
With that being said, does having local generative AI tools in something like Premiere Pro that could be like super powerful to just like instantly replace footage or generate what you need, is that something that interests you in what you currently do?
Oh yeah, it would be amazing to have that, especially if I like, I don't know, left something in a shot, or if there's a piece of art that shouldn't be there that didn't get cleared. That would be so much easier than having to like export it out to After Effects and do mocha tracking and put the thing back on top of it and export it back into your. It'd just be nice to have a one click, whatever. But how useful it's going to be, I'll be interested to see.
Agreed. Agreed. So aside from it being inside of Adobe, what were your initial kind of like gut feelings when you first saw the all the footage come out of what Sora was going to be?
Oh, I mean, I thought the same thing. I kind of think about everything. The um, promo looks amazing. I would love to have access, and that's kind of where it is. Because like I know from being on a different version of that side, you make things look as beautiful and perfect as you can, and then what you come out the other side with is what you hoped it would have been by the time you got there. So Sora looks like it's going to do some really amazing stuff. I haven't heard any generation stuff about like how many times did they have to generate the same shot till they got what they wanted. Is it 5? Is it 500? Or of those, let's say there's 50, or 25 of them usable but not what you wanted, or were they just all junk until you got to one that was useful? Same questions I think everybody has.
My main curiosities about it are how long is it going to take me to generate that 1 minute
Yeah.
piece of footage, and two, how much are you going to charge me to be able to use it? Those are like my two main questions. But
I think the other thing that is a big question on it, because even in those, you got a bunch of those like, working with creator videos that they put out. Very few of them had consistent characters of any kind, and the ones that did were super simple. So I'm that's the thing that kind of has to get eaten by all these things is the consistent character. Because if you can't have the same person from shot to shot, people's brains aren't going to accept it as being the same thing.
agreed. Agreed. So, okay, being that you've been in this for so long, because how long altogether have you been filmmaking as a professional?
Um, I think my first feature came out in 2010. We started in 2009. So, yeah, 2009-ish. And then
Wow.
I was at a grad school in 2011, and that's kind of when career was just going as is.
So you
Old
so
from an old
you've
man.
so you've really seen the AI stuff evolve from barely like recognizable images to where we're at right now.
Yeah.
A year ago or six months ago, did you think we would be at the point with all of this that we're currently at, or has it even kind of like went faster than you would have expected?
No, it's gotten actually slower than I was hoping. Um,
Oh,
the like the incremental changes from, and I guess I'm just talking open source world. The incremental changes from like a year ago to now are amazing, but they're very, I don't know, it's sort of very linear. It doesn't feel like it was like speeding up on top of itself. I'm impatient. I want everything now. I don't see a reason why like I don't see a reason why like Laura creation couldn't be automated, where a single picture is dropped in, a whole bunch of versions of that picture are made from it. You select 10 that you think are correct, and then it makes 100 based on those, and then builds the thing. I don't know why that couldn't exist. That type of stuff. But I'm also not a programmer, so I'm really stupid when it comes to that sort of stuff. And so that's why I'm impatient.
I'm right there with you on that bunch. I'm not so good at like the technical side of this, and luckily, like that's the cool thing about what for me for the past year, the AI community and the open source nature that is kind of the lifeblood of everything that we do. I've noticed, and tell me if you would agree with the sentiment. Other creative communities that I've been a part of pre AI have felt very they can feel very gatekeeperish sometimes, and it's really hard to either get people to like share techniques or how they do things. And I understand we all need our own bit of juice that we hold close to our chest to be our differentiator, but I've witnessed so much more willingness to share and help each other out in the AI community, which is ironic because everyone sees AI as kind of like this cold, soulless thing, but I've experienced more warmth from the people in this community than I ever did in like the VFX or the editing community I was a part of prior.
Um, yeah, I mean, I see that community and stuff. I don't know how well I am as a part of it. I'm not the most social guy in the world. I like to just do stuff. Um, I figure out how things work by flipping switches 100 times rather than actually asking somebody how it works, just because I have trouble asking people for things. Um, I know I hit that like initial wave of, oh my God, AI is here when some of my early videos went up, and I got hit with like thousands of people asking me questions, and my response to that was just to shut down and not talk to anybody. So I'm amazed by the amount of people working together here, and like helping each other out. Um, and I've taken part in it to a degree, but I'm not great at being a part of it. It is pretty amazing
Well,
that it's happened. Yeah.
well, to your credit, and believe me, I understand being an introvert. And like I can flip my switch on when I need to do the thing, but I very much enjoy being at my computer with myself, with my screen, and doing my thing. With that being said, anytime that I ever reached out to you, in the past when I was trying to like wrestle with something with Warp, you were always willing to take a few minutes out to help me. So
All right.
you're still a part of it, whether you think so or not, because to guys like me early on, you definitely helped
All
with
right.
a little bit
Cool.
of that like oomph, especially in that derp learning server, and we all know
Yeah.
how crazy the derp learning server could get at its peak.
Oh
um
man, there was a time when it was just like five of us, and it was great. It was just five people messing around and making awful stuff, and then being like, "How do we make it slightly less awful?" So yeah, there's stuff there, but yeah, when it became like this huge group of people, I kind of checked out.
so I remember when I first found the derp learning server, because on Instagram, Willis Visual.
Yeah. Mhm.
So Willis was the first person who took some time out to actually jump on a Discord call and help me install the Warp Fusion notebook. So
Nice.
major props to Willis. He didn't have to do that. But after that, I got into the Derp Learning server and I was asking questions while I was wrestling with stuff, and you were giving me all these answers, and the answers were so high level for me at the time that I was like, okay, I don't know if I want to continue this conversation with him because I'll reveal how stupid I am.
Oh no, I'm very stupid. I mean, if those seemed high level, they probably weren't. They probably were just poorly worded, so you couldn't understand them.
I saw a really good question come up in our Discord chat. That said, how do you feel about the difference between the collaborative nature of traditional filmmaking versus what seems like to be the more individualistic or independent nature of the AI filmmaking, since one person can really just do it at their computer now?
Yeah, I actually the thing that I'm trying to do with Zero is to get rid of that independent stuff, or at least move it around, because I miss working with actors. I miss having an editor that isn't me. I miss I don't know, I miss everybody. I miss having a cinematographer to bounce ideas off of. Those things are really really important. Those people are to some degree smarter than you, definitely about the thing that they're specialized in, and you lose that part of your brain, that film team brain by not having those people around. And you can't really replace it with an AI that'll give you 15 different versions of something. Instead, it'd be better to have somebody who knows what that one version is and what it should be and what their style is and become part of it. So that's my take on it, is we push it back in.
We push it back in, and I have a feeling that once it gets pushed back in, the AI stuff will get even better than when it is just one person.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you are a part of the Civitai Artist in Residency program. You were one of the 3 people in this first cohort, if you will. Let's talk a little bit about the Zero project. For anyone that doesn't know, Zero is a sci-fi short film that Noah is producing through the Air project. And if you follow us on social media, you've seen a couple little animatics or snippets of behind the scenes of what he's working on. So why don't you give us kind of like the high level of the project, and then let's just kind of dive into it a little from there.
Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold, so I'm
no problem.
Zero's it you know, the basic idea is most of my stories end up being about, as I've already sort of touched on here, like being an introvert and being kind of lonely and stuff. Like one time in my life, I literally went up to the mountains in Lake Arrowhead up here in LA and just lived there for a year, and realized like 6 months later I hadn't talked to somebody. Like I hadn't used my voice in like 6 months, which is crazy. Don't do that. I came back to LA and I started making films again, and all of them ended up kind of being about this. Zero itself is about a woman who literally goes to the end of the world, to Antarctica, to a science station there, to be alone for the winter and study this thing that's out in the distance. And there's like sort of a bigger setting for people to play with later. But for right now, it's just that there's this one large sort of monolith that's been there since the beginning of time, and she's studying it. And then it turns out she's not alone, and ends up in kind of conflict with the other person who's there. And yeah, I guess that's the general overview of it. Not the best, elevator pitch there, but it's something. But the idea is to bring actors back into this process so that I can actually film with actors and have them do their normal, natural motions and be who they are and be actors, and translate that to an animated form that can be easily comped with backgrounds and sets and stuff that won't even take as long or as expensive as it would in 3D, even though I'm going to probably use some 3D for image to image, so that you have a coherent looking animated film with natural human movements, which are a little hard to get into animation, and actors that get to actually perform their lines to one another, and you don't end up with that, I don't even know what you call it. It's that booth sound where actors are just delivering their lines. Even if they're the most amazing actors in the world, you can just tell they're sitting in a booth.
Yeah.
With the other person kind of off to the side or not there. And it's just different. So I want to bring that back in. And so I want to find a way to marry those two things with AI and hopefully make something better or unique on its own rather than replacing either of those two things.
Awesome, man. Like we had someone make a comment in the Twitch chat when you mentioned going up into the mountains. He said, not talking to anybody for 6 months, living the dream.
Yeah, it felt really good at the time, but you lose a lot of social skills doing that, and I didn't have many to begin with, so.
You're fine, dude. So okay, so how many people altogether are with you on the Zero project? Like, so what part of the traditional film team did you pull together for it?
Yeah, let me pop open. I've got this all. The Air thing has, like, I should say this ever, the Air artist in residence thing, there's Figmas of everybody's work that you can go look at that just have like as it goes. I don't know if it's will it mess anything up if I share my screen?
No, by all means.
Okay, let me do this. Window, this one.
And if the chat, if you guys haven't seen any of this stuff, you can see all the behind the scenes stuff on our Instagram at Hello Civitai.
Is that up there? Can you guys see that?
No. I think you're going to have to I think you got to change your screen. Oh, Gadget, you see it? Oh, wait, my bad. That's me. My fault. Boom. Yep, we got
awesome.
it.
All right, cool. So this is the Figma board. It's gotten kind of ridiculously big at this point. but it's going to keep getting built for the whole thing. But specifically on crew, so we've slimmed down. Originally, we had actually a particularly large crew, but right now we've slimmed down to director, producer, DP, and an editor. That's going to be our traditional film crew, which means I'm lighting this thing. It might get bigger if our budget comes back up a little bit, but right now we're just going to be self-funding. So this is like the version that can do that. And then I'll probably have a costumes person, hair and makeup. They'll probably have to just come hair and makeup ready, or maybe I can convince somebody to come in for a lower rate, like $350 a day or something. But yeah, that's our traditional film crew. We should have, a gaffer, a grip, and a few others in there, but we do not right now. But that's okay because we're just going to shoot on a green screen.
Dude, real quick, zoom out on this Figma board again so that everyone can get like the full look of how much. So can you just kind of from like just walk us through this process just a little bit of what's happening on the board here, and if you zoom into anything, zoom in a little extra just because the bit rate on Twitch sometimes doesn't like showing people things. But yeah, just give us the high level on like what is put together here and why this part of the process is important for you.
Yeah. So this was originally what I like right here is what I pitched when I was like, hey, I want to do a thing. It's like a 5 to 10 minute animated film. It's just like a very like brief explanation of it. Then because it's just who I am, I had to make a logo just so I know what this thing feels like. It's just really important to me. I have an obsession with like opening sequences. There's this site called Art of the Title that like puts them all out, and I like almost need to feel the opening sequence before I work on the film in any way whatsoever. It's like part of the writing process almost. Cool.
What was it? What was that website called? Art of the Title?
Yeah, Art of the Title. It just catalogs. They haven't updated in a while. I think Maxon either supports it or runs it, but they just catalog opening sequences of shows, and then they have interviews. Yeah, somebody just popped it up there in the chat. It's amazing.
Awesome.
I can spend all day on there. All right, where should we head next? So I did that, and then this is like the story development part where I was just figuring out what the basic acts are. None of this is anywhere near what it is anymore, but this is where it started. And then from there, I've got, so this is our production roadmap. This is figuring out how I would do this. I don't know how much of it's super going to be followed, but this is what I think it's going to be. I'm going to run through it really quick. So basically it's just like, here's our pre-production. We'll have to do casting at some point, rehearsals, which will then lead us into production. But then also if do our budgeting and figuring out this stuff, we're kind of here. We've been bouncing back and forth on our budget itself. So location, which I think we figured out. I think I might be able to use the stage at the ASU campus here in LA. So that might be all right. Figuring out who's going to actually have to be on set. Here was the other thing. So I wanted to figure out a way to do take the script, which I guess I could hit in a second. Take the script and do a sketch to storyboard. So this thing where I could just sort of like really briefly sketch out what I want and then have it create a bunch of storyboards from that. And so I did a mixture of things where some of it was in Midjourney. The image to sketch in Comfy was the thing that we did a social post on it. That's just a really simple sketch it out, hit go, and it creates the storyboard based on your sketch.
I think that one blew a lot of people's minds. A lot of people did not know you could do that, and a lot of non-AI people were like, "Whoa!"
No, it's a really useful thing because especially for like, I know that I worry because I really like there's 2 or 3 storyboarders I work with, and I don't want them to lose work. But if they learn this process, they can do some pretty amazing things. But it is just it's the soft edge workflow is all it is. Just take a soft edge, control that, and run it the other side. And it's Excel. Excel just does a better job at that, in my opinion. Cool. And then the next thing was to take all of that and do like an animatic, which we did. It's up here. I'm not going to play it, but we took that and turned it into an animatic that basically lets the entire film run, play the full thing, feel what it's going to feel like, and go, this works, this doesn't, this works, this doesn't, and edit it back out. And that's actually going to take me back where I'm at right now is a 3rd or 4th draft of the script. And then do that whole process again. Cool. And this was that storyboard. So this is every scene of the second draft of the script broken out.
Dude, this is so killer. And so this whole thing that we're looking at, this is obviously something that kind of like grows with the project, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Which is I really enjoy having this here to do. Though it won't open on my phone anymore because now it's too big for that, which is sad. What else we got? Okay. Oh yeah.
Oh no, someone asked if there's a workflow somewhere for that comfy storyboard thing, or if that was something that you put together yourself.
I'd seen one earlier and I had it and I downloaded it and put it in and it worked. And then I had to reformat my computer at one point and I lost it. I can't find where it came from. So I built it again based on what I remember. And it's really simple. It's this thing called a painter node where you can draw. You have to find it in Manager. If you look for it in Manager, you should be able to find the painter node. You can also just drop an image in as well if you want to of a sketch. I just didn't feel like doing that. And then that runs into the soft edge control net, and just the soft edge control net goes to your sampler with your prompts, and then out it goes the other side. Really, really simple. It's the simplest setup I think you can do in Comfy.
You hear that, guys? You hear that? Someone clip that bit so one of you guys that's much smarter than me can go build the workflow and share it with us.
I barely understand how to run Comfy. Like it's nonsense to me in a lot of ways, and I was able to figure it out. So it's not hard at all.
All right, chat. You have a mission. I'm expecting a full blown storyboard to image workflow by the end of the day.
Honestly, I mean, I'm probably giving this away at this point. If you made that as a site, there are 100 filmmakers who would just lose their minds to have access to that, and they'd pay like $2 a month or something to do it. Same.
So did you try anything like I always get Kriya and Krita mixed up, but did you try either one of those in this process?
No, I have not. That is a tool I have yet to open. It's on my list of stuff, but yeah.
Gotcha. Well, look, so like when you're planning out a film like this, so did you have this idea for this film prior to the Civitai?
No, I
connection?
just wanted something. No, that was I saw that the thing was there and I'm like, what type of thing could I do for it? One of the things I like to do is go backwards, I guess is the best way to put this. Is like, what is the tool that I have available to me now really good at? And characters isolated on a white background is something it can do pretty well right now. So what's a white background? Oh, snow. Okay. I'll set it in the snow, and then just working backwards from that and figuring out how I can make it into one story.
So how long does the initial process of putting together something like this that you can then build and sprawl out your idea typically take you?
Are you saying like the concept to then become this thing, or is it like
Yes to become like the pitch that you like showed to Civitai?
Oh God, I probably wrote that in like 3 hours. I do pitches all day. Like I do pitch docs on top of pitch docs on top of pitch docs for a lot of different stuff. So putting together something like that for a short film isn't terribly hard.
Here we actually just had a really great question from our Twitch chat for you, which said, if you could program, and here, wait, I'm going to bring your camera back up here on my screen. Give me 1 second, guys, and then we'll get to the question. Boom. Oh, wrong one. Boom. Okay. So, the question was, if you could program an AI to assist you with what you're working on right now, ideally, what task would you like to have more AI involvement in?
Ooh. That's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, there's stuff that I definitely would like to get automated out of my life. Probably it would be something in the like video prep area for this, like, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to have to go on with figuring out right like color temperature for a video to go in at, the right amount of shadow and the right amount of saturation and all that stuff. And then just going through the process of like masking somebody out, even if it's on a green screen, and then shifting that or shipping that over to AE, and then doing the work in AE and shipping it back. All that stuff, if it could be one click, I would love it. I just don't know how to do that right now. I don't know if
all
anybody
those all those little repetitive things that
Yeah.
once you actually look back and add up the amount of time all those tasks take, you realize we've spent days of our lives just doing that one little like back and forth motion.
Yeah. Like I put up a video the other, like maybe yesterday. I don't know. That's like a test shot from this. I took a shot from let me pop that. Yeah. So like all of this, if I could get rid of all of this and have somebody else do it, I would love it. This is the whole thing. It's like taking somebody and cutting them out and then running it through Comfy and then putting them back in and doing some color correction and putting them back into After Effects and doing some color correction there and doing, backgrounds and tracking and all that. And then putting it all back over here and then coloring it out once again because everything shifts a little bit. That's
If you hit play on that, will it play right in the Figma board just so people can see like the how consistent the Yeah, man, that's amazing compared to what like a lot of generations we see look like. Like that looks about as like close to actual motion person that you can get right now.
Yeah, and that's the goal. That's what I'm after for it. So it starts off, this is the character isolated on background. This is from Solaris, the Soderbergh one, just because it's a nice parallel to this. And I thought it would be a good one because AI does not handle non-white skin tone very well. It's a crapshoot, so I wanted to work on that a little bit.
Agreed.
B, the costume is a little weird. Like in this image, I can't make out what this is. So I thought it would be an interesting one to put in there. And then C, there's just like a little bit too much shadow and stuff in this. So I had to go in and sort of bounce that up a little bit. So I thought it would be a one that has enough problems that hopefully something would come from it. And what came out of Diff is kind of a mess. Like that, this doesn't look like what we get at the end. Everything from here on out is all manual work. So it's tough. And then this is running it through Resolve and getting rid of a lot of those like color temp changes and getting rid of like some flickery stuff and just trying to make it more consistent, and then putting it into After Effects and blending it into a background of some kind. So I can already tell somewhere in this process there's a little white dot that shows up over here. I guess it's not going to show up in this one, but I messed up my masking, but I was too lazy to go back and fix it. And then balancing it all back out so it's not that green mess here.
So wait, from I think it was the second video in the line. From the second video in the line to the final one, what's the difference in the mouth that I'm seeing?
You're talking about this one to this one?
Like yeah. So from that second one to the third one because the third one is closer to what the mouth looks like in the final one you have right now. What's the difference there that I'm witnessing?
There's not really much of a difference. It's just the color, I think, is really you've got this first frame is like way too stylized, so I cut that first frame out. So if we move like right about it doesn't let me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm probably gonna have to do the old I guess it's not really a trick, but just put handles on every single shot so that I don't end up having to trim away stuff I want in order to get rid of that one frame where everything's crazy looking. That's what I think I have to do.
Well, it looks phenomenal. I know from the amount of like just like all the side projects I've done over the year between both Warp and AnimeDiff, how difficult it is to wrestle with the mouth and the hands. Are you now? I'm not going to ask you to reveal the sauce on what you're doing for those, but are there any like special considerations you're taking when shooting so that you have to wrestle with those two items less?
Yeah, there's not. This is the thing. There's not like a special sauce. That's the crazy thing. Nothing I'm doing is different than I think anybody else is. Most of it is just selecting stuff that has some kind of contrast in what I want. So like I want that mouth track I have to make sure, and it's really helpful in Hollywood films because her teeth are bright white, and there's you know, a form of lipstick creating lines here that gives us a nice contrasted area for soft edge and line art to pick up on, and just the model itself when it sees stuff and generates stuff. Um, that's what I think of. Hands are a little different. I've got. Let me see if I can just drop this on here. I was practicing with another shot that shouldn't work. Cool. There's no sound on this one, so you don't get to hear
All good.
line.
All good.
But yeah, this shot shouldn't work because his hands are covering his mouth. But because it's such a simple contrasted shot, black shirt, normal, his normal skin tone, also helps that I'm sure J.K. Simmons is in the data set somewhere already. That all that stuff is kind of clearly defined. But I ended up having to tweak settings like 100 times to get that, because I started with something like this, where it just
Oh, wow.
his hand pushes into his face, and it's not like I have a special way to make that work. Let me delete that one. It's just that I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24 runs.
There's the sauce. Okay. There's
Yeah.
the secret, guys. There you go.
It's sort of like this thing that I learned when I was first starting out writing, is like there's no replacement for just doing the work over and over and over and over again. So it's the same sort of thing. Pages don't get written if you don't write them. These don't get made if you don't just sit there and figure it out over and over and over again. The hope is, in a consistent scene at least, I only have to do that on one shot, and then I can apply it across the board, which seems to work most of the time, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think what you just said though is really really dope, because it is very contrary to what most people who have not dived nearly as deep into this stuff as you or as me or as anyone in here who does any part of image generation or video generation. It's that key thing that they kind of miss, is that like none of this stuff, to do it at a high level, is like time and iterations and effort, and just like the willpower to sit there until you get the good thing taken out of the equation. There's no magic button.
Yeah, you get that comment, or that person just sort of the side talking on the side of their mouth, being like, "Well, you just hit a button." And it's like, I did, but I hit that button like 500 times, slightly differently every time.
Man, well, God, that whole process looks so dope. Do we have a general like idea of when we could expect to see Zero? Ballpark?
That's a great question. No, I don't think I have a ballpark for after getting through post. I think the big thing right now is just figuring out our actual timeline for this, of when we're going to shoot. Once we know that, we'll be able to figure out the rest on the other side.
Dude,
hopefully we'll
awesome,
be shooting
man.
in like the next 2 months, but we'll see.
Awesome. Well, look, chat, do you guys have any questions based on the conversation we've had so far for Noah? He's dropped a lot on me already, and just even seeing his process is like really eye-opening for ways that I could further improve on just like the stuff I already do, because what you're doing is like a complete other level of just like not only organization, but respect for what you're doing by taking the time to plan stuff out so thoroughly and so well and iterate it. It shows that you actually like really care about the stuff that you're making.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I know that if I don't keep track of this stuff, I will forget it. So it's really nice to have somewhere to keep it all out in the open and track of it. Yeah.
Well, we got a question in Twitch that said, do you have any advice for beginners on figuring out like the basic workflow for just video to like a basic stylized animate look? Like if you were the person getting started in this right now and it all seems so overwhelming, what would you tell that person to like comfort them to take the first step?
Hey, ooh, that's a good question. I don't know because I came up through like this stuff not existing and then watching it get built piecemeal around me. Um, wow, that's a good one. I don't know. I honestly, I would grab one of like the popular small simple workflows and do that one over and over and over and over again. That's my I think. The other thing is just try not to there is a tendency I think in this like community to just copy the same thing over and over again. Like,
Hmm.
you can literally do anything. Like I think we've seen enough dancing girls for the rest of our lives. And I'm part of that problem. I made thousands of dancing girls. I just
I
need to
feel
finish
called
work.
out. I feel
No,
called
no,
out.
I have so many of them as well. But I think this is the reason why I'm even doing this project is like I think it's stuff's there to spread out and become new things that people have never done before. Um, that's I guess my thought on it.
Hey, just so you know, Pixel Pusher is in our Discord chat right now, and he said burn.
It's not meant to be a bird. It's like we found a really good place to like build our little camp, and we've built it. It's like a nice castle of dancing girls, and now we can move out and attack other lands and make new things.
Well, what I would say to kind of add on to that question for our Twitch chatter who asked it is what Noah said. Finding a basic workflow first, not grabbing one of these like crazy node graphs that has all this masking and IP adapters and all this crazy stuff. Just finding like the most basic video to video workflow, which for me, what helped me understand Comfy. I was so scared to move from Warp to Comfy. I had gotten so comfortable in that damn Google Collab notebook. But Comfy, I put off even making the jump from Premiere to DaVinci because I was afraid of nodes, and I put off learning Blender for so long because I was afraid of nodes. And Comfy was the thing that cracked open my ability to like learn new things again. But it started with me finding a basic video to video workflow, which happened to come from Inner Reflections AI. Shout out to her because she puts out amazing stuff for the community. And using that and seeing how it was connected and taking the time to understand how this basic thing was working gave me the confidence once I started to be like, okay, this isn't so scary. And logically, I can see how these things make sense. It gave me the confidence to start plugging in a few more things on top of it, and then a few more things. And then a month later, what you're working on now is like this monstrosity that you just kind of built over 4 weeks or something.
You learn it by putting it together. I think is the best. It's like model making. Like that the process of like troubleshooting all your problems teaches you what the thing is. The you banging your head against the table and being upset that it's not working and not understanding what you're doing wrong is learning. That's the work. So you kind of want to run into problems.
And that's something that has become very apparent to me through this whole process, which I think is something that as a creator myself, it's been very it's like contrary to what people think of AI because they always think easy mode, right? Everyone thinks easy mode, or this person's doing AI because they don't have the skill to do this thing without it, to film a video, to do VFX, to draw the line on the image. But what AI has done for me has like shown me like I have the capacity to learn new things. And if anything, it's made me learn more of those manual do it yourself things even better because I don't know, it's helped me believe in myself more. Um, but yeah, man, look, I really appreciate you coming on and giving us like the insight into your background and into the process and just everything. I know like you said, you did the 6 months of solitude thing. You like being with yourself and doing it. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come and give us a peek in.
Sure. Yeah, no problem, man.
Do you have any kind of like final words for anyone that maybe is like going through a rough time getting a hold of this or getting a hang of it, or they're feeling frustrated,
I mean, I think it would just be
you
the two things I kind of already said before, which is like there's no replacement for just doing the work. And some of that work is you being frustrated, not knowing how any of this works, and just constantly slamming your head against something until it works. Like flip every switch, try things 1,000 different ways. Eventually, something will come out the other side that's useful. And generally, as I said before, I like to think about the projects I want to make are based on what I can actually do with the tech. It works backwards rather than starting with something that you want to make and ending up not being able to do it because the tech's not there. That'll just frustrate you. But if you go the other direction, you'll end up with something unique and interesting.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, someone in our Discord chat just said, Noah, you are a gift to the trade. Thank you for talking with us. Couldn't have said it any better myself. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you out on socials?
Yeah, sure. What is my Instagram? I don't know. I think it's Noah Robert Miller on Instagram. I'm on that Figma Air thing. You can find me there. Or on our website that hasn't been updated in a decade is theopposition.party. That's our little production company. Somewhere I have a TikTok, but it gets 1 view a day, so who cares? So yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, Noah, thank you so much. This talk will be on YouTube, so if you want to clip any of it for anything, feel free. I'm going to do the same. Twitch chat, Discord chat, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really stoked on this conversation. I hope you guys got something out of this. I know I definitely did. Next week, we're going to be back with Phil, aka Machine Delusions, again, and he's going to have some more comfy UI craziness for you all. So, Noah, sir, thank you. We can't wait to see Zero when it's finally done, because I have a feeling it's going to be one of those things that raises the bar for everyone that's attempting to do this.
Thanks, guys. It was great being on.
Boom. Guys, we'll be back on Monday with our regular office hours. Thank you for joining us. Civitai.com. We're out. Noah, thank you so much.